Eli Parker had always believed that life in space was predictable. He worked as a systems engineer on the Aurora Research Station, a small orbital facility above a quiet blue-green planet. Most days were calm, monitoring satellites, adjusting antennas, checking power systems, and most of the people on the station were equally focused on routine. Eli liked that. Predictable was safe. Predictable was manageable. Predictable was boring, but he liked boring. Until the day Lumo arrived. The hatchling was not what anyone expected. It was small, barely the size of a basketball, with smooth, glowing blue skin and 4 stubby arms that wiggled with energy. Its eyes were enormous, round and shimmering like liquid light, and it had a grin that suggested it knew far more than it should. The moment Lumo rolled off the transport crate, Eli realized that predictable was officially over. Eli had been told he would supervise the alien while it adjusted to human life. The briefing was vague, and he thought it would be like babysitting a robot, follow instructions, avoid disaster, make sure nothing got broken. He was wrong, very wrong. Lumo's first act was to leap from the crate, spin in the air, and land perfectly on the console next to him. Then it stared at Eli with those glowing eyes and let out a sound that could have been a laugh or a warning. "You funny human," it said in perfect English. Eli froze. His mouth opened and closed like a fish. "Hello," he said finally. The hatchling tilted its head. "Eli, I like you. Room now." Ellie blinked. I think that's my room. And okay, I'll show you. The walk to the sleeping quarters was chaotic. Lumo jumped onto every surface, poked at every blinking light, and occasionally hung upside down from a pipe. Eli tried to keep calm, reminding himself that no harm had come to the station yet. The alien seemed harmless, if energetic, curious, and prone to shouting random observations. "Your hair, strange," Lumo said suddenly. "Like fluffy gravity cloud." Eli laughed nervously. "Thanks, I think." Lumo just nodded solemnly and bounced onto the bed. Sleep, yes, but later. Questions. Many questions. Eli had no idea what to expect. He unpacked some essentials for Lumo. Blankets, a few simple toys, and some electronic gadgets for stimulation. The hatchling ignored them all, except for a small screwdriver Eli had left on the desk. It spent the next hour unscrewing the panel on the room's terminal and inspecting the circuits inside. Eli considered saying something, but Lumo looked so pleased with itself that he couldn't bring himself to scold it. By the time dinner came, Lumo had made itself comfortable, sitting cross-legged on the floor and watching Eli eat. Then, without warning, it blurted out, "Your cooking smells funny, but good funny." Eli choked on a bite of bread. "Funny? Good funny?" Lumo nodded, eyes glowing brighter.
"Yes, approval." Eli tried to ignore it, but he couldn't stop glancing at the hatchling.
Something about Lumo's frankness made him nervous. The alien didn't hide thoughts, didn't pretend. It spoke exactly what it felt. That was unusual, unsettling, and strangely refreshing. The next morning, Eli woke to find Lumo perched on the edge of his bunk, watching him as he brushed his teeth. Human hygiene. Curious. Why foam? Why brush? Eli groaned. It cleans my teeth. Keeps me from getting cavities. Lumo tilted its head. Cavities. Danger to mouth. Understand? Humans. Delicate. Eli laughed.
"Yeah, we are. But I guess you noticed that yesterday." Lumo's grin widened. "Noticed. You, brave human."
Not just delicate. Brave, too. Curious. Funny. Many qualities. Eli blinked. Brave. Funny. Curious? He had just spilled coffee on the floor that morning and had nearly tripped over a loose wire.
Brave?
He asked cautiously.
Yes, Lumo said.
Bravery not always loud. Sometimes. Quiet courage. I like quiet courage. Eli felt a small warmth spread in his chest. He was used to humans judging him for small mistakes, but Lumo's judgment felt different, honest, simple, pure. Things were going relatively smoothly until late in the evening. Eli was adjusting the station's communication array when Lumo appeared at his side, hopping from the console like it owned the place. "Eli," Lumo said suddenly, eyes wide. "I must tell truth." Eli froze. Truth? About what? Lumo leaned close, lowering its voice as if this were a grave secret. "My mom likes you." Eli stopped moving mid-screwdriver turn. His hand froze. His eyes widened. "Wait, what?" "My mom," Lumo repeated seriously.
Likes you very much.
Approval given. Eli felt like someone had thrown a bucket of ice water over his head. He stared at the small blue creature. Your mom likes me?" Lumo nodded earnestly. "Yes, many times thought about."
You worthy.
Kind, funny, brave. She likes these qualities. Approval. Important.
Ellie couldn't stop laughing.
But it was nervous laughter. "I don't even know your mom." "How would she like me?" "Not problem. We'll meet soon," Lumo said, bouncing slightly.
I told her about human.
"She curious. She," once he confirmed. Eli's mind whirled. He had been careful. He had lived alone in space for years, avoiding awkward encounters, human drama, and emotional complications. And now, somehow, an alien parent liked him. A tiny, chaotic alien had just announced this, as if it were the most normal thing in the universe. He sighed and rubbed his face. I don't even know what to say." "Say hello," Lumo suggested. "Oh, maybe nothing. Smile is good. Smiling important." Eli laughed again.
Smiling.
"Okay, I can do that." The next few days were a whirlwind. Lumo seemed determined to introduce Eli to its family, even before the mother had arrived. Every time Eli tried to focus on work, Lumo popped in, dangling gadgets, asking questions, and dropping small comments like, "Mom would like this human, very strong human brain."
Kind heart. At first, Eli tried to ignore it, thinking it would pass.
But Lumo was relentless. The hatchling's straightforward honesty meant there was no escape. "If Eli spilled a tool," Lumo commented. "If he fixed a panel," Lumo commented. Every action, every choice seemed to become a test for parental approval in Lumo's eyes. Despite the chaos, Eli began to enjoy the little alien. Its enthusiasm was contagious. Its curiosity reminded him of why he had chosen engineering in the first place. He loved solving problems, discovering things, exploring the unknown. Lumo turned everything into an adventure, from recalibrating the station's sensors to finding the fastest way to organize storage crates. Then, one evening, while Eli was recalibrating a satellite feed, Lumo jumped up and blurted another thought. "Your laughter, Mom, would like too." Eli paused. He stared at the hatchling. "She would?" "Yes. Laugh. Human magic. Many humans hide laugh. You not hide. Mom likes honesty. Humans like you. Interesting. Brave. Funny. Many qualities." Eli shook his head, smiling in disbelief. I don't even know what to do with that." "You do what humans do best," Lumo said with authority. "Smile. Breathe. Keep being human." Eli realized that Lumo was right. He couldn't control every situation, couldn't predict what the hatchling, or its mother, would think. But he could be himself. That was enough. Maybe, somehow, being human was exactly what was needed. As he watched Lumo curl up with a small blanket on the console, Eli felt a strange warmth. This tiny, chaotic creature had turned his calm, predictable life upside down. And for the first time in years, he didn't mind. He couldn't predict what would happen next. Lumo's mother might arrive tomorrow, next week, or next month. He didn't know how the aliens would judge him or what their customs required. But right now, here in this small room above a distant planet, Eli Parker laughed. He laughed because Lumo was strange and amazing, because life was unpredictable, and because sometimes the universe had a very peculiar sense of humor. And in that laughter, Ellie realized something important. Brave, kind, funny. Those weren't just qualities Lumo's mother might admire. They were human qualities that mattered, no matter who was watching. He didn't know if he was ready for interstellar parental approval, but he was ready to be himself, and somehow, with a little blue alien by his side, that felt like enough. Eli woke to the soft hum of the Aurora research station. The sun had not yet peeked over the distant planet below, but the station's lights reflected faintly on the windows, giving the small room a calm, quiet glow. He stretched, expecting the usual silence, but a small, glowing blue shape was already waiting for him.
Good morning, human, Lumo said, bouncing lightly on the edge of the bed. Sleep? Sufficient? Eli rubbed his eyes.
Enough, I think. You? Always ready, Lumo replied, flopping onto its back dramatically. But must talk. Eli groaned inwardly. Lumo rarely spoke without meaning, and must talk usually meant questions, comments, or sudden confessions about Eli's habits that he didn't know he had. What is it? He asked. Lumo sat up and clasped its stubby hands together.
Mom, curious.
Many things about human. About you. About your ways.
Eli froze mid-breath. Mom, curious? Yes, Lumo said, eyes glowing brighter.
She asks many questions. She wants see. Confirm. Approve. Eli's stomach twisted into knots. He had barely survived the first revelation about Lumo's mother liking him. Now he had to somehow impress an alien parental figure he had never met, and probably didn't understand. Impress? How? He asked cautiously. Be human. Be yourself, Lumo said. But also interesting, funny, brave, helpful. Mom likes these qualities. Many qualities. Eli laughed nervously. Sounds easy enough. Lumo tilted its head, as if daring him to fail. Easy.
Yes, humans.
Not always easy. But... you? Maybe?
Ellie rubbed his temples. He was beginning to realize that life with Lumo would be unpredictable, and the alien's blunt honesty made him feel both exposed and strangely proud. By mid-morning, Lumo was bouncing around the station like a living spark. It poked at consoles, inspected wires, and asked constant questions about Eli's work. Why do humans measure time this way?
Lumo asked as Eli checked a panel.
Because
we track rotations, orbits, and schedules, Eli replied. It helps us keep life organized. Lumo blinked its glowing eyes. Organized, important. Humans, clever. But sometimes boring. Eli chuckled.
Yes, sometimes boring, but predictable, remember? Lumo tilted its head.
Predictable, boring. Yes, but safe? Perhaps, but safe not always. Best.
Adventure.
Better. Eli had to laugh. Somehow, Lumo always managed to summarize complicated feelings with simple sentences, leaving Eli both amused and impressed.
During the day, Lumo began following Eli everywhere.
In the labs, it examined every machine, occasionally pushing buttons Eli didn't want pushed, and sometimes offering suggestions, usually nonsensical, but occasionally brilliant. Eli had started calling it accidental genius, and for the first time he realized that humans were not the only species capable of insight. Then, just when Eli thought he had a handle on the day, Lumo interrupted a briefing call with a colleague by shouting, "Mom would like this human! Very clever human brain!" Eli froze, his face flushing. "Lumo!"
Not right now. Too late, Lumo said proudly. Truth must speak. The colleague on the other line chuckled awkwardly.
"I see you got a new assistant." Eli sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose. "Something like that." By evening, Eli was exhausted. Lumo, however, was still full of energy, bouncing around and occasionally shouting random observations about humans. Eli's work was far from finished, but he couldn't deny that the alien's curiosity made things livelier. Then, Lumo did something that left Eli utterly speechless.
Mom.
"We'll visit soon," Lumo said calmly as they ate dinner. Eli froze mid-bite.
Visit? What do you mean visit? Curious, Lumo explained, nibbling on a strange nutrient bar. Want meet human.
Confirm. Approve. Make sure. Human-worthy. Eli swallowed hard, his throat dry. "Meet me?" "Yes," Lumo said. "Soon. Tomorrow. Maybe. Or day after. Exact. Uncertain. But soon. Must prepare." Eli blinked. He had spent his life avoiding awkward social encounters, choosing schedules over surprises, and careful routines over chaos. And now? An alien parental figure, probably taller, smarter, and far more alien than anything he could imagine, was coming to see him, and he had no idea what the customs might be. He glanced at Lume. "What do I even do?" "Be yourself. Honest, brave, kind, funny. Share food, knowledge, laughter."
Lumo nodded solemnly. Simple. Eli shook his head.
Simple, easy to say, hard to do.
You can do, Lumo said, bouncing slightly. I believe.
Mom believes, maybe. The next day, Eli tried to prepare. He cleaned the quarters, polished the consoles, and even practiced polite gestures, all under Lumo's critical gaze. The hatchling pointed out every flaw, every missed detail, and occasionally squeaked with approval when something was perfect. "Good," Lumo said after Eli aligned a console. "Mom would see... she like...
This human! Organized!
Careful. Interesting."
Eli laughed despite himself. Somehow, the alien had become his unofficial life coach.
Later, Ellie had to attend a station-wide maintenance check. Lumo insisted on following, which led to a mix of chaos and amusement. It poked at pipes, flipped switches, and occasionally shouted out random observations. "Bravery! Human bravery!" it yelled as Eli repaired a power conduit. Eli nearly slipped but managed to keep his balance. "Thanks, I think," he said. "Brave," Lumo said. "Mom approved bravery." Humans sometimes hidden courage.
You, not hidden.
Not fake. Eli couldn't help but smile. The hatchling's words were blunt, honest, and somehow flattering. Humans often pretended. They often hid mistakes and fears. Lumo didn't. By nightfall, the station was quiet. Eli returned to the quarters, exhausted but oddly exhilarated. Lumo was already curled on a console, staring at him. "Tomorrow, maybe." "Mom arrive," Lumo said. "Important. Must. Human ready. But don't worry. You brave. Good human." Eli laughed softly. "You really think so?" "Yes," Lumo said, bouncing slightly. "Many qualities. Mom Like. You. Interesting. Brave. Funny. Honest. Helpful. Many important qualities. Eli shook his head. You make it sound easy. Easy. No. Important. Yes. Lumo said. Humans. Strange. Complex. But you. Simple human heart. Good heart. She like. Eli felt a warmth he hadn't felt in years. All his routines, all his careful life choices had led to this small, glowing creature, seeing him in a way humans rarely did. Maybe it wasn't about impressing an alien parent at all. Maybe it was about being the kind of person, human, that anyone could respect. Then Lumo said something that made Eli freeze again. You. Sleep soon? Yes. Why? Mom. Like sleep routine. Humans. Rest. Important. She. Approve humans who sleep properly. You, excellent sleeper. Eli stared at the hatchling and laughed. Excellent sleeper? That's what impresses aliens? Not just sleep, Lumo said, eyes twinkling. Kind. Brave. Honest. Funny. Sleep. Bonus. Eli laughed louder this time. He shook his head, feeling both nervous and amused. The coming visit seemed impossible, but he realized something important. Lumo's mother, whoever she was, wasn't judging him like humans often did. She wanted to understand him, and maybe that was what mattered most. That night, Eli lay in bed, staring at the station's viewports. The distant planet below glowed softly in the darkness, and the stars stretched endlessly in every direction. He thought of the chaotic, curious hatchling in the room next door, of the coming visit from an alien parent, and of the strange, unpredictable path his life had taken. For the first time in years, Eli felt truly alive. Life was no longer predictable, no longer calm, and certainly not boring. But it was exciting, and somehow he knew that whatever happened tomorrow, he would meet it with honesty, courage, and maybe a little humor. Exactly what Lumo's mother would appreciate. And for the first time, Eli didn't mind that the universe had a very peculiar sense of humor, because it had brought Lumo into his life, and suddenly, the impossible felt possible. Eli woke early that morning, a mix of excitement and nerves twisting in his stomach. Today, Lumo's mother was supposed to arrive at the Aurora research station. The little hatchling had spent all night bouncing around, talking non-stop about her arrival and reminding Eli to be brave, kind, funny, and interesting. He had tried to sleep, but thoughts of meeting an alien parent made it impossible. As he brushed his teeth, Lumo, perched on the sink, its glowing eyes fixed on him. Eli, it said. Today.
Very important, Mom.
Dehuman. Confirm many qualities. Must. Excellent human. Eli swallowed hard.
I'll try, Lumo. That's all I can do. You...
Must do more than try, Lumo said, nodding seriously. But you can do. You... interesting human. Brave, funny, honest, helpful. Many important qualities.
Eli gave a nervous laugh. I hope you're right. By mid-morning, the station's docking bay lights blinked in a soft rhythm.
A sleek, elegant ship descended from the planet below, its hull reflecting the distant sun in shimmering patterns. Eli had seen alien ships before on the station's monitors, but nothing compared to this. The ship seemed alive, with soft pulses of light that moved like breathing. Lumo squealed in delight.
She's here! Mom, here!
Human? Ready? Eli took a deep breath and nodded, Ready as I'll ever be. The doors of the ship opened, and out stepped Lumo's mother. She was tall, with skin that shimmered like silver under the station lights, and eyes that glowed softly, reflecting every color in the room. Her movements were graceful, almost fluid, and yet there was an unmistakable air of curiosity and intelligence about her. "Greetings, human," she said in perfect English, her voice melodic but strong. "I am Leora."
I am here to meet the one my child speaks of. Eli's mouth went dry.
"I'm Eli Parker. Welcome to the station."
Lumo bounced excitedly around her feet. "Mom!"
"Human is excellent human. Brave, kind, funny, many qualities." Leora's eyes glowed softly as she regarded Ellie, and she smiled. A strange, alien smile that felt almost human in its warmth. "Your child speaks very highly of you," she said. "That is unusual. Most humans are difficult to understand." Eli chuckled nervously.
I'll do my best to be understandable. Leora tilted her head slightly, observing him. I will watch.
Observe. Confirm. Eli realized that first impressions mattered, and suddenly every movement felt monumental. He led Leora through the station, showing her the labs, the power cores, and the observation decks. Lumo followed closely, offering commentary about every human action. "See?" Lumo whispered to Eli as they walked past a terminal. "You organized. Careful. Smart. Mom, like already."
Eli smiled faintly. Thanks, I think.
When they reached the main lab, a small system alert blinked on the screen. A minor malfunction in one of the research satellites orbiting the planet. Eli felt a familiar twinge of stress. He couldn't let anything go wrong in front of Leora.
Minor problem,
he said calmly, though his heart raced.
I'll fix it!
Lumo bounced.
Human bravery!
Mom, approve bravery. Eli rolled his eyes slightly but smiled. Let's hope so. He quickly assessed the problem. A calibration error in the satellite sensors. Normally, it would take hours to adjust, but Eli improvised. Using some spare circuits and a clever sequence of commands, he began recalibrating the satellite from the station console. Lumo watched in fascination, offering suggestions that were mostly nonsense but occasionally pointed out a small detail Eli had missed. Leora observed silently, her glowing eyes focused on every movement. Eli could feel her assessment in every glance. He knew she was analyzing his problem-solving, his patience, and his composure. Half an hour later, the satellite was back online, functioning better than before. Eli wiped sweat from his brow and gave a small sigh of relief.
Impressive, Leora said, her voice calm but firm. Humans capable.
Observed many qualities I appreciate: bravery, problem-solving, patience. Lumo bounced in excitement.
See?
Mom, approve. Human, excellent human. Ellie smiled, though he was still nervous. Thanks, I guess. After the satellite was stabilized, Leora asked Eli to join her and Lumo in the station's common area. They sat together, and Eli realized that despite her alien appearance, Leora exuded a warmth that made the room feel lighter. You are different from most humans, she said. Most hide qualities. Hide emotions, but you... honest. Direct. Funny. Brave. Helpful.
I see why my child admires you. Eli chuckled softly.
I guess Lumo tells the truth about everything. Yes, Leora said, eyes glowing softly. Truth. Valued. Child also values truth. I see. You are what Lumo believes. That is, rare. The conversation continued, blending laughter, curiosity, and small cultural exchanges. Leora was fascinated by human customs. How Eli slept, how he cooked, how he interacted with technology. Eli, in turn, was fascinated by her calm intelligence and her gentle humor, which often mirrored Lumo's chaotic enthusiasm in a refined way. Then, as if the universe wanted to test him further, another alert flashed on the main console. A small, unmanned cargo pod had veered off course and was heading dangerously close to the station.
Eli froze.
"Another problem," he muttered.
Lumo bounced. Human bravery!
"Mom, must see!" Eli groaned but sprang into action. He quickly calculated the pod's trajectory, adjusted the station's defense thrusters, and prepared to push it off course manually. Leora observed silently, her presence calm but commanding, while Lumo cheered him on. With careful precision, Ellie guided the pod safely past the station. The crisis passed without damage, but Eli's heart raced.
You are...
"Remarkable," Leora said softly, her eyes glowing warmly. "Humans, capable of much more than I imagined. Courage and intelligence combined."
I see why my child trusts you.
Lumo bounced in triumph. "See? Mom?"
Likes, human!
"Amazing," Eli laughed, despite himself. "I'm glad you approve, I guess." The rest of the day passed with smaller interactions, sharing meals, answering questions about human habits, and explaining technical details about the station. Leora observed everything, occasionally commenting on Eli's kindness, humor, and thoughtfulness. Each compliment felt genuine, sincere, and deeply satisfying. By evening, Eli realized something important. Despite the stress, the unexpected challenges, and the chaos of Lumo's antics, he had done it. He had navigated an alien visit, solved technical crises, and remained himself throughout. Leora's approval felt earned, not given, and that made it meaningful. As they prepared for rest, Lumo curled up beside Eli, its glowing eyes sleepy but happy.
Mom likes human very much,
Lumo whispered.
brave.
Funny, honest, kind, important qualities. Many qualities. Human. Excellent human. Eli smiled, feeling warmth he hadn't felt in years. "Thanks, Lumo."
You've been a good guide. You...
"Good human," Lumo said. "I proud." Mom, proud too. Eli leaned back in his chair, looking at the distant stars. The day had been chaotic, unpredictable, and exhausting. But it had also been extraordinary. He had faced the unknown, impressed an alien intelligence, and discovered that human qualities, kindness, bravery, humor, honesty, could be recognized and valued across worlds. Leora's presence, combined with Lumo's chaotic honesty, had reminded him of something he had long forgotten, that being human was not about perfection, control, or predictability. It was about courage, compassion, and the willingness to face challenges, even when they seemed impossible. As he prepared for sleep, Ellie realized that life with Lumo, and now with Leora in the station, would never be predictable again. And he didn't mind. In fact, he felt alive in a way he hadn't in years, ready to face whatever challenges, chaos, and humor the universe sent next. And with a small, glowing alien watching him with admiration, he knew that sometimes the simplest human qualities could be the most extraordinary of all. The next morning, the station was quiet except for the soft hum of its engines and the occasional beep from monitoring systems. Eli sat at the observation deck, staring out at the endless expanse of stars. Lumo's mother, Leora, had spent the night in a small guest chamber, but Lumo was already bouncing around the room, full of energy as usual.
Eli, wake up! Today. Fun day. Many things happen,
Lumo said, stretching its tiny arms in the air. Eli rubbed his eyes and sighed.
Fun day, huh?
What did you have in mind? Lumo bounced from the floor to the desk. Mom said we must show human life. She wants, explore, learn, understand humans more, Ellie groaned. Explore humans?
Lumo, you mean me? Yes, you.
Human excellent. Mom impressed yesterday.
Now, see more. Lumo's eyes sparkled. Eli took a deep breath. The idea of a guided tour of his daily life for an alien parent seemed absurd. Yet somehow, he didn't feel nervous anymore. Yesterday had been stressful, yes, but it had also been rewarding. He had learned that human qualities, honesty, courage, humor, kindness, mattered across species. Perhaps today would be another chance to show them, not just what humans could do, but what made them special. By mid-morning, Eli was guiding Leora through the station's cafeteria. The alien mother was fascinated by the human process of cooking, tasting, and sharing food. Lumo offered commentary on everything, often in a loud, excited voice. Mom! Human uses fire carefully. Control, smart human brain. Eli laughed nervously as Leora observed him cutting vegetables.
You really don't have to narrate everything, he said. Lumo bounced on the counter.
Truth important. Mom likes truth. Must see. Leora smiled gently, her glowing eyes watching every movement. Yes, she said softly. Observation necessary. Humans unique. Life fascinating. Child good judge. After breakfast, Eli led them to the science labs. Lumo bounded ahead, pressing buttons and rearranging small equipment pieces. Leora followed, serene but attentive, analyzing every detail with her glowing eyes. Human thinks differently, Leora said. Problem-solving, creative. Observation, thorough. Courage, evident, many qualities. Eli felt a small sense of pride. He had spent his life learning, fixing, and adapting, but hearing his skills described this way was new. It wasn't about recognition from humans. It was about being appreciated by an intelligence so different, yet able to understand him. Then, without warning, an alert flashed across the main console. One of the station's satellites had a critical malfunction. Its trajectory was unstable, and it risked colliding with a smaller cargo ship orbiting nearby. Eli's heart raced. This is bad, he muttered, scanning the data. Lumo's glowing eyes focused on him. Human bravery time, Mom. Watch. Eli took a deep breath. He had handled emergencies before, but now, with Leora watching, he felt the pressure more intensely. He couldn't afford mistakes. He quickly analyzed the satellite's problem. A minor control circuit had failed, throwing off its balance. He devised a plan. He would manually adjust the circuit while guiding the satellite's path with the station's thrusters. Human courage. Important, Lumo whispered. Mom. Prove bravery! Eli nodded silently, trying to ignore the adrenaline rushing through his veins. He connected to the satellite's control interface and began working, carefully rerouting power and sending adjustment commands. Lumo assisted by offering rapid observations, some nonsensical but occasionally pointing out small, critical details Eli had overlooked. Leora watched silently, her glowing eyes calm and focused. Eli realized she was studying not just his skill, but his composure, his patience, and his ability to stay calm under pressure. Minutes passed like hours. Sweat dripped from Eli's forehead as he adjusted circuits, recalculated trajectories, and carefully balanced the satellite's movement. Finally, the trajectory stabilized. The cargo ship was safe. The satellite's systems were fully functional. Eli leaned back, exhausted but relieved. Impressive, Leora said softly. Human, capable, courage, evident, problem-solving, precise, child, correct in trust.
Lumo bounced excitedly.
See?
Mom likes. Human. Excellent human. Eli laughed, shaking his head in disbelief.
Guess so. After the crisis, the tension eased.
Leora suggested they take a walk along the observation deck, looking down at the planet below. The view was breathtaking. The oceans glimmered like liquid sapphires, and clouds drifted lazily across the continents. Lumo skipped alongside Eli, pointing out every small detail.
See, human!
Stars, same everywhere. Humans, small but strong.
Mom, like how you notice.
Eli smiled. I notice because I care. About my work, about life, about everything around me.
Leora's gaze softened. Yes.
Observation, caring, empathy. Humans, capable of more than I imagined. Child, correct and trust. You, excellent human. For the first time, Eli felt completely seen, not just as a worker, not just as a problem solver, but as a human being with all the qualities that mattered. Lumo had been right. His kindness, courage, humor, and honesty had been enough. The afternoon passed with smaller interactions. Leora asked about human culture, learning quickly through Lumo's translations and explanations. Eli explained human jokes, meals, and daily routines, while Lumo added commentary in its blunt, chaotic style. Leora laughed softly at some of the sillier moments, and Ellie realized how universal humor could be, even across species. As evening approached, Leora and Ellie returned to the common room. Lumo curled up between them, glowing softly. Child, proud, Leora said. Aye, proud. Humans, capable of many qualities we admire. Bravery, kindness, humor, intelligence. You have all. Many important qualities. Human. Excellent. Eli felt warmth spreading through his chest. Thank you. That means a lot. Lumo bounced.
See? Told you. Mom likes human very much.
Eli laughed softly, shaking his head.
I still can't believe it. You must believe, Leora said gently.
Child.
Correct in judgment? You?
Worthy of trust, respect, and admiration. Human qualities, valued across stars. Eli realized that she was right. Being human wasn't just about survival or logic. It was about courage, empathy, honesty, humor, and kindness. Those qualities were powerful, more powerful than technology, weapons, or even speed. Lumo yawned, finally curling up to sleep, while Eli and Leora sat quietly. The station was calm. The planet below bathed in soft twilight. For the first time, Eli felt at peace, accepted, appreciated, and understood. Lumo's gift, Leora said softly, her eyes glowing with gentle light. Child.
Sees truth. Human.
Has qualities worth admiration. I grateful to know. Eli smiled. I'm grateful too. For Lumo. For this. For you. Leora nodded, a smile touching her face. Connection across worlds. Human. Brave. Kind. Funny. Honest. Worthy. Many important qualities. Eli felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The day had started with nerves, chaos, and uncertainty, but it ended with understanding, acceptance, and warmth. He had faced the unknown, solved problems, and remained himself. In doing so, he had earned the respect of not only Lumo, but of an alien intelligence, unlike any he had imagined. And perhaps more importantly, he had learned something he had always suspected, but never fully embraced. Being human, truly human, was extraordinary. As he watched Lumo sleep, glowing softly in its small, chaotic way, Eli realized that life in the stars was unpredictable, full of challenges and sometimes absurdly funny. But it was also beautiful, rewarding, and meaningful. He looked at Leora and saw not just an alien observer, but a friend, a mentor in understanding, and a witness to the value of human qualities. Together, with Lumo between them, they formed a small family of sorts, a strange interspecies bond built on trust, respect, and laughter. That night, as Eli finally lay down to sleep, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Complete contentment. The stars outside the station shone brightly, but the warmth inside the room, the laughter, and the quiet admiration were brighter still. Lumo whispered in its sleepy voice, "Human. Excellent human." Mom likes many qualities. Brave, kind, funny, honest, many important qualities. Eli smiled softly, closing his eyes. "Thank you, Lumo, for everything." And for the first time in his life, Eli Parker understood what it meant to be truly appreciated for who he was. Across the stars, in a tiny room on a distant station, he had found friendship, acceptance, and the extraordinary value of being human. The universe was vast, chaotic, and unpredictable. But he was ready for it. With Lumo and Leora by his side, there was nothing he could not face. And as he drifted into sleep, Eli knew that the strange, glowing alien and her chaotic child had changed his life forever.